I'd like to welcome Dr. Doris Cariaga Coleman. She's an assistant professor of the Chicana Studies Department at the University of New Mexico. Her research includes Afro-Mexican studies, culinary foodways as cultural retentions, literature, cultural studies, and gender studies. At UNM, she teaches courses in Afro-Mexican literature, history, and culture, and her African presence in Mexico course sits at the heart of the university's popular Connections Veracruz Study Abroad program. She is the founder of Connections Africanas, a nonprofit organization that provides support and guidance for civil organizations committed to addressing healthcare and educational disparities in communities of African descent that comprise the African diaspora. Let's give a warm welcome to Dr. Cariaga Coleman.
Hola a todos. Bueno, probably you know, I am not a fluent English speaker, but I have here my, you can see here the pronunciation. In case that you don't understand me, please let me know. And then I think, and when I am excited, I switch language, so we are going to be here in a Spanglish conversation, right? So, well, we're here for the AfroChicanx Digital Humanity Project. Memories, narratives, and oppositional consciousness of Black diasporas. So if you want to send some information, please, you can take a picture, and the email is going to be that one, the right one. And then I am going to show you this is the AfroChicanx. So I really love, and in the end I am going to talk a little bit about the art design that I really like it. That was making from Jose Arturo Ballester. He is an Afro-Puerto Rican, and he works a lot to build the idea of Chicano, Blackness, and everything together, Mexican. So, no, let me see. I am going to show you the webpage. So I want to talk a little bit about what is behind the Digital Humanity project, but I want you to see what is right now. So let me see. I think we can be a little bit here for the next information. So I want to begin by acknowledging the generous support that makes this project possible. The University of Illinois Chicago Crossing Latinities Humanities Research Initiative is funded by the grant of Andrew W. Mellon Foundation. As part of this important initiative, our project focuses on documenting and preserving vital histories. This leads us to our work, the página. So in this project, I really wanted to start giving the thanks of everyone who made possible this this webpage. These three beautiful women. We are the principal primary investigators. So Dr. Michelle Telles is in this corner. She works in the University of Arizona. Micaela Diaz Sanchez, the Mica bailadora to Son Jarocho. She is from UC Santa Barbara, and myself from University of New Mexico. So, but also I want to thank all the students that went part of this project, and we have two different groups of students. The first one and the 2022 to 2023 was Natalia Toscano from the University of New Mexico, Gustavo Garcia also from the University of New Mexico, Maria Sanchez for Texas Tech University, and then the second year 23-24 we have Naomi Ambriz from University of New Mexico, Maria Saila from University Florida International University, and John Jairo Valencia from University of Santa Barbara, California. And also we have a special consultants. Let me see if we can see here more information. So these are the graduate students. So Thaisa Matus was the associate research also. She was really helpful to us in different ways. We have a lot of work always when we are building something like this. The special consultant was Coral Carballo, and we are going to see her work in a little bit. She is a photojournalism and visual art. And then we have all the team that work with us in the interviews. The director was Maria Larcon from here from University of New Mexican and University of New Mexico, and also Mauri Perez and Riachu Morgan. And then we have Linda Garcia Marchand. She was so helpful because she give to us in the way to develop all the humanity work here. Linda have a lot of experience, and then she is part of the Chicana por mi raza. So let me go back to the presentation. So this is the information that I use to give to you. So in this, I am going to talk a little bit about the project. So this project created an AfroChicanx digital humanity archive that will illuminate the diversity, experience, and histories of Afro communities in Mexico and in the United States. The project built upon the moment of 2019 constitutional recognition of Afro-Mexicans and the 2020 self-definition census. This project disrupt and realize dominant constructions of latinidad, mexicanidad, and chicanidad by centering Afro knowledge, experience, traditions, histories, and resistant practice. So we are going to have some examples of this because this sounds like amazing and this works, but we are going to see if that is true or not. I think it is. So I want to talk a little bit about this process. So in August 10 in 2019, after decades of activism, the Mexican government granted constitutional recognition of Afro-Mexican population. That is, in my opinion, that is so late. Almost 5 centuries before that the first Afro-descendant people land the Veracruz, the coast of Veracruz, right? So after that, like a second domino, the following question emerged in the national census. Because of our ancestors, customs, and tradition, do you consider yourself Afro-Mexican, Black, or Afro-descendant? So, por tus antepasados y de acuerdo con tus costumbres y tradiciones, se considera afro-mexicana, negro, afro-mexicana, afro-mexicano, negra, negro, o afrodescendiente. The results reveals that 2,575,000 to 13 people self-identified as Afro-Mexican. With the official recognition of the Afro-descendant population in Mexico, it is essential to promote its inclusion in broader discussions about Afro-Mexican identity and subsequently in the national curricula, both in Mexico and the United States. So this project tried to be one piece of this curriculum. And sadly, in Mexico, this last year, the academic last year, some professors from, I want to say, UAM, Xochimilco, they tried to include a Afro-Mexican class. So we have little seminars here and there, but we don't have a class per se in the Mexican academia. That is incredible. So how the this work. Now I want to talk briefly about how we develop this research project. We use oral history and platicas methods to center marginalized testimonies, experience, and histories of community leaders, cultural practitioners, and transnational people of African descent, vibrant yet understudied segment of Latino, Hispano, and Chicano communities in the United States. So I want maintain why AfroChicanx, right? Because this is the first question, and we debate a lot about that. But in the interviews, we have at least 10 or more auto-definitions about how the people consider themselves. So, can you please? So I have this for you guys, but here we have Afro-Latino, Afro-Hispanic, Afro-Mexicana, Afro-Mexicano, Afro-Mexican, AfroChicanx, Afro-Chicana, Black Chican, Black Chicana, Chicano Black. All that definitions was result of this research. So the idea in this case is we want to build a multilingual English-Spanish digital humanity archive that will estrange transnational and intergenerational relationships across geographies. So we conduct the research in Albuquerque, Tucson, and Santa Barbara. And that need to be in some ways because the principal investigators work at university based in that cities, right? Because usually the people ask to us why you didn't work in Los Angeles or in another place in California, why Santa Barbara? It's simple. We really want, but on the other hand, we have really important testimonies of what is the experience to be Black, Chicano, in a space like the elements, but we really like because in this case, this platica serves as a space to share the history of Afro-diasporic connections and the Afro-Mexican cuisine, particularly through ingredients, techniques, and culinary traditions. The roots in the Afro-descendant influence. The goal is that we share in these Chicanas, we sharing within Chicanas communities memory exacted through food, prompting reflections on the dishes we prepare at home and how certain culinary elements reveals a shared Afro-descendant heritage. And we did that in the casita last semester, so it was so, Rosa was there and me. So also we have some, I am going to share this. say it's better to see the video. But this is a like reflections about what we did in every place that we work in this project. So we have workshops in the community. We decided that we want to be in the different places iconic in every city. So for example, here in Albuquerque we have workshops in the Placita, here in the Casita, but also in New Mexico Black Leadership Council. So in that way we can touch different people in our communities. The same was in Tucson and the same was in Chicago. And also we have the workshops about Son Jarocho too. The idea with these workshops is to share with all the people who was with us the traditional music genre from Veracruz can voice African, Indigenous, and Spanish influence. So, and then we know the Son Jarocho is really, I think we can see at least in the United States that the Chicano communities embrace these activities too. So this was so excited, but it was work. Oh my gosh, we usually spend 1 week in every place, but the work before and then that days is like we start at 7 in the morning and we finish at 12 sometimes because we cook, we need to clean the kitchen, everything, and yeah, we have some fights sometimes. Yeah, you need to clean this and you didn't do that. So this piece is so beautiful too. This is the work of Coral Carballo. So she have a project in Mexico, she called Album Familiares. And the idea is to go in the communities in Mexico. So we try to do that here in the Chicanx communities too. And ask the people to share all the pictures that you have sometimes in a ropero guardadas, right? So the idea is, she says you need to show the kids. Sometimes we don't know how look our ancestors. Mm-hmm. So let me see if here in the Humanity we don't have pictures of everyone, but these are the pictures for Alegra and Esme Canelos. So these are the sisters, the family, the parents, and these are like now. So we have here Corky. This is his mom. Here too, the abuelos. He also shared, and he's going to talk, and I have a intro video of his testimony, but this is really important because he knows in some ways he have African heritage, but he don't know. So he started to look in documents and he find out, he's from here, from Albuquerque, and he find out the tatarabuela of him was a mulata. Mm-hmm. That's why he shared all the documents too. So it's why we made this memory, and it is important to see that this is not something that is happening in our historical context, but we can trace this some information until the colonial period before the conformation of the United States. Mm-hmm. So it is the Emily. I love Emily. Is this beautiful girl here? She is. Her mom is Mexican. Her father is Afro-Dominicano. So she says she never had the opportunity to be in Dominicana, but in her mind, her roots are in New York with the abuelas and tias in New York. So this is my beautiful song, the Finito, the baby. They choose the pictures, and oh, I need to say that we have here. Oh, where it is? We have a interview that explain when you go to the page, you can click here and you are going to hear what is he talking about, every picture and what every of these pictures is important for him. So we have here Jasmine. This is her family too. Oops, I don't know what I did. So you can go and see more information. This is only a guide for you guys, and see, you can see what materials we have. So, how do Afro-Mexicans and AfroChicanx community disrupt, navigate, and negotiate colonial capitalism configurations in Mexico and the United States to generate greater awareness of connectivity, materials, and practice across communities and international political borders? Drawing on Chicana and Latin American feminist theories and methodologies, we explore AfroChicanx, AfroIndigenous, and Afro-Mexican identities formation through an intersectional analysis that waves migration, transnationalism, oh my gosh, that is so hard for me, and construction of race, class, gender, sexuality, and culture. I like how we work in this paragraph. It is so beautiful, but I want to show you how this is really working in these testimonies. So before I start, I want to share a little bit about me and what is the interest in this project. So I will like to begin the reflections by sharing a bit about where I come from and who I am. I am originally from Tamiagua, Veracruz, Mexico, and I self-identify as a Black woman, Afro-Tamiaguense, Afro-Veracruzana, Afro-Mexicana, Afro-Chicana, y Afro-Latina. In the United States, people perceive me as an Afro-descendant woman. Wherever, when I speak Spanish, the perception shifts. I am seen as Latina, yet I understand that my identity is more accurately, oh my gosh, accurately described as Afro-Latina. My life experience shaped my identity, culture, and history, while also intersecting with racism and invisibilization, and I navigate diarially with that. So I want we hear what the testimony says. So I don't know why this go out. I'm sorry, I need to start again. Let me see. Let me see if we can move. Yeah. 1 second. We are almost there.
A lot of my family is from Mexico, and that part from my dad's side, his ancestors were from a part of Africa. Sometimes I get looks like that because they're like, I've gotten once that like, wait, but you're like burnt. You're like brown. Are you sure? Like, yeah, my parents are Mexican. I remember that somebody once asked me if I was Black or like if I was African. And I looked at them and I was like, do you think I'm African or Black? And they're like, well, I'm asking. And I responded with, like, I'm Mexican too. I'm both, I guess. But I'm mostly Mexican.
Bicultural, my mother is Mexican, my father is Black. I qualify as someone who should be interviewed for this. I had to find a way through the resistance to have a conversation about this in order to do so. So yes, my interest in doing this developed over time because I realized there are I am sure more people like me out there, growing up in Chicago, that wasn't the case. But I know, having taught and running into students who identify in this way, that there are a lot of people out here who are navigating this and exploring this and understanding this for themselves.
Like, it doesn't necessarily matter, I call myself Blaxican, I'm a mixed girl. I'm a mixed girl. I am all those elements, and so today as a activist, as somebody who I feel finds power in the words and has done some sort of soul searching, it's AfroChicanx, right? It covers, I think, that myriad of what is blackness, right? Because it's not just black, it's not just this color, right? And what is Chicana? It encompasses these complicated identities, right? And gives honor to both.
When I taught New Mexico history, we did teach the history of Blackdom, the colony down in southern Mexico, or in southern New Mexico. But they don't teach, for example, the history of slavery in Mexico, the fact that they liberated the slaves 40 years before the US did, and the fact that there was an underground railroad. If you're a slave in Texas, why try to walk to Canada when you can walk across the river and be free? And I think that history is lost and not shared. And those colonias that I grew up near them, Rosita and those little colonias in Coahuila that were basically founded by American slaves that had escaped into Mexico. And I think that history is just ignored. And I think there would be a different way of approaching our ethnicity and our racial identities if we kind of touched on those subjects. Because when I teach Afro-Mexican history, I ask my students to go home and share that with their parents, and then come back and share their parents' responses. And I've gotten anywhere from, well, será ver, mira, to, tu maestro está pendejo. And I've gotten those, that's quite a dichotomy there between those responses from those parents.
So, let me share some of my thoughts, and I really want you to share with me what you think about this, right? In my opinion, Lindsay speaks about how people perceive and interpret her identity from how she looks. We can understand this as the concept of a straight race, right? The Dr. Nancy Lopez, other friend and colleague here at UNM, phrased this term, which refers to the race that others ascribe to an individual based on their physical appearance, including skin color, hair texture, and facial features. Wherever she argues that one can be perceived as both Black and Mexican. That was Lindsay, the first one. So Linda, who is from Chicago, explained her identity by hiding her heritage as the daughter of a Mexican mother and an African American father. She describes herself as bicultural, a condition that involves a continuous process of identity negotiation, allowing an individual to blend elements of both cultures to create a unique and fluid identity. Linda was part, like I says, of our project for 2 years. And after much exploration, she shared with us last April that she had finally found an identity label that worked for her. Black Chicano. Jazz self-identified as Blaxican, but later came to understand herself as AfroChican. She reflects on the complexity of the term blackness, emphasizing that it encapsulates multiple layers of meaning and interpretations. For her, blackness is not only about color, but also about existing as both Black and Chicana. Corky addresses are complex and often overlooked aspect of history, the presence of Black people in southwestern communities. He reminds us that these communities share a historical past with Mexico colonial period as they became part of the United States after 1853. The most significant contributions Corky makes to the discussion is his reflection on how he, his family, and his ancestors are Afro-Mexicans from New Mexico. They never physically moved from New Mexico. They became part of a different nation, and so forth. So this is interesting because we talk about the idea of transnational, remember? So the concept of play as a moving space is interesting for us, for me especially. For this perspective, place can be understood as an space in motion. In move with our African ancestors who carried their cultural legacy with them, one that we will taste in the food we are about to eat today. Place can shift the same community, region, state, or country, or as Corky pointed out, it can remain geographically fixed while still evolving, growing, and reinventing itself. I refer to place in the sense used in the cultural studies as a site of meaning making. Place in relationship to a space of resistance. Place as it connects to share a collective memory, belonging, and identified formation. So what do you think about these testimonies? Did you hear something like that before? Oops, sorry. I need to go to the. So this is the issue. Yes.
I found it interesting the commentary by the professor that it's what is not taught in history, and I learned again that some of the slaves who were some of the American slaves escaping slavery went to Mexico. I'd be curious though about the resistance in Mexico by the slaves. I think it is only long-term memory from a course I took on the history of slavery, which looked at, historically, globally, but also more Latin America, other countries, and South America, and also Mexico. And I sort of had the impression that it wasn't as severe in Mexico, and it was easier for slaves to buy their way out of slavery. And I was just wondering again, in the United States, it's very common for African American people to be knowledgeable about their slave past. I'm wondering in Mexico to what extent are African American, Mexicans conscious of slavery, of their own, and again, what can you comment on resistance to slavery in Mexico?
Oh, it is a good question. So there are, in my opinion, there are different. I see these like waves in the history of Mexico and in the construction of the colonial period to the nation state of Mexico, right?
Sure.
So first of all, we phase out the mestizaje in Mexico, but also, like you said, in the America Latina, right? So this is different from United States that phase out segregation. So the segregation have doing this simple. I don't like to be simple, but in two ways, right? So they have they have the opportunity to be together in segregation and have memories and recreation of culture. On the other hand, in Mexico and Latin America, we have the mestizaje. So everything was spread out. And it is more hard for us to find out all these cultural contributions of the history or the economic ways that the African descendants bring to our communities. But also there need to be with the what the government of Mexico wants, right? Who is going to be in the middle of this projection of what means be Mexican, right? Sometimes they say, we are mestizos. Yes, but who is the face of that mestizo? Usually, in my opinion, is someone who look like Afrocentrado. It's not, and we can see that problems in the present, in the historical present. I remember a lot when Jalisa was appointed for the Oscar, right? We have for first time the people talking about the different racial difference in Mexico, because usually the people say, oh no, in Mexico there are no racism because we don't have race. And that is not true. That is, and so I read a lot of different information that concerns to me a lot, but this one have my attention. Somebody says, but she is not a Mexican. And I say, oh wow. Based on what, right? And so I was looking at the tray of the commentaries, and I said, I really want to see how these people look, because in my opinion, she or him, I don't know, he is or she is Mexican, right? So that have a lot of layers of history that says the Mexican don't have African descendants. So I can make more examples, but I mean, one thing is what is real, the cultural diversity in Mexico, and on the other hand, what the people think it is that, right? And we are in that moment. So the recognition of the Afro-Mexicans, that happens because we, the communities, was fighting with that, for that. It's not because one day the government of Mexico called them and said, oh, today I want to make Afro-Mexican part of the constitution. That means a lot, because now we have recognition, we can ask for, we don't have, for example, a health, ¿cómo se dice? Políticas públicas de salud, how do you say? Yeah, exactly. Because what in Mexico was supposed to know African descendants, but what is that really dangerous? I find out in the United States there are medications for Afro-descendant people for the high pressure that don't make anything to them another medicine. So in Mexico we don't have that. And in our communities, I see people in my own family die because they don't have a medication, especially for that people. So yes, we are talking here about identity, but these have a deepest ways we can see and analyze. I don't know if I answered you. Okay. So. Hablen, por favor, porque yo no quiero hablar. Por favor, compartan, ¿qué piensan?
For me, I really like how you talked about place.
Yeah.
That really resonated with me because my story is pretty complicated. So my family is from the Congo. We migrated, ended up in Arizona. What brought us there is agriculture work, and then we lived on a reservation. And so, in that migration, we lost a lot of our family history, but being there on the reservation, you wouldn't think so, but there's a pretty big migrant community of folks from all over Mexico, and that created, I think for that reason, that a lot of folks were migrants, we were able to hold on to our culture in different ways and create kind of mutual aids, within, that close-knit community. So the way you talk about things really resonated with me.
Mm-hmm. And I thank you for sharing that part of your meal, right? Or sometime in the dinner or in the lunch. So it's important, and I mean the Afro communities and the indigenous communities. They share a lot of history, and yeah. So thank you.
And I should say, I do have, now I know, and I didn't know this before, but I do have African ancestry that I'm still trying to learn about.
Yeah.
As well as
Yeah. So yeah, the idea of this project is just that, right? To make the awareness to the people, and we can always start to ask ourselves what is in our heritage and our roots, in different ways, in the pictures, in the culinary, and in the history, whatever. So the oral histories, we have 20 of them. The idea to have 30, but we have 20 at least. So the first block is from Albuquerque, New Mexico, and then we have Fort Tucson, Arizona, and then from Santa Barbara, California. So here we have a segment of the whole interview because the interview is 30, 40, 1 hour. But we have a repository, so in case that you want to work with these testimonies, you can write to us and we can give you the link for the complete interview. Also, we have this space that Coral made for us about these portraits. Usually she took these pictures before and after. She shared the pictures before, and she is saving the other ones for a different moment. But it's really different when the people talk about whatever that they want to share with us. Oh my gosh, what happened?
No signal.
Exactly, they say don't share that. Let me see. Do you think I did it? So the other, we have here also the memory of the workshops, the family album that I shared before, but I really want to talk a little bit about the readings. So we made here, first of all, the granting theory, Black and Chicana transnational feminists. So the idea is the students or whatever person that is interested, they can came to the AfroChicanx Digital Humanity Archive and then see what we find out here. So in some ways we says we don't have that much, but we have. So then in Afro-Mexico we have different units, the slave in Spain, blackness in colonial Mexico, revolution resisting la lucha, Afro-Mexican experience, of course, Afro-Mexican culinary, that need to be there, cuisine, and framing Afro-Mexicanidad resistant in contemporary Mexican films. So we have borderlands with 2 units, and this is open. This is not everything, right? We really want the whatever person that want to share with us some information, we are more than open and we can continue to build in this reading list. What else? We have hemispheric decolonial tone, and here we have the access of materials that I said before. So here we have the contact information. So is it? I want, please, you to help us to share every week. We are going to have this little promotional that we use here, these moments, in the Facebook and in the Instagram. And I really want you to help us to share this, give the likes and see how. And I think the idea is to spread the word and the people can access this tool. I think that is it. Thank you. I don't know if you have more questions. I am more than happy to help you. But if you don't, yes.
Just one more question. Well, first, thank you for this great talk, and this is an amazing resource. So congratulations. It's interesting because you were talking, you had the workshop, and you talked about food, and you showed the oral histories, and I'm wondering if when you do the oral histories, is the format very open, or do you like connect food to the interviews as well, since food is connected to so many things?
Yeah, we this is new, so we made some mistakes on that because when we made the questionnaire of the interviews, we need to be like systematic in the questions. So we don't want to talk especially about culinary, but we ask about culture.
Yeah.
So that that open a lot the answer of the people. But when we finally and the platica con tamales was in the end, in the last workshop, that we figured out that need to be named, and that was so successful. And because we have the interviews, but in the same way we was putting the seed in the land, right? So now we have another people who want to work with us in this project, and they ask for a testimony, to make the testimony. But that is because the workshops works a lot. So at that point I said, I need a special question in culinary. So I think in the second probably, well, we can ask the people because about the importance of food, the food for the alma, right? How you can feel better when you are eating whatever that is from your community, and the dishes. And then there, when they say the dishes, we can find out that dishes are usually from Afro-descendant communities. So we have something, but that is a good idea, because now I hope so we can have another funding for this second part, because we really want to do this in Los Angeles, for example, and possible in El Paso. And then I really want to work in Chicago, because in Chicago, well, we have a lot of community there, but especially because there are a migration from Coyolillo, or say Afro-Mexican community in Veracruz, and most of the people live in Chicago. So I really want to make this connect, because I work a lot in Coyolillo, so I know, and especially about culinary. So I really want to make this bridge. But we'll see. We are going to apply for a melon, but now we need to write first. We are in that part. We are writing the essay. We want to make a special issue with all the people who works in the program. Probably we are going to open the call, and then we'll see what else we can. But I think, in my opinion, I know about, for example, in my opinion, sometimes the people say, "Oh, this is new," because the Blaxicans, right, is people that some of the parents are Mexican and the other one is African American, and that can be the case of my family. But I know there are different cases. We have Maori, who is both parents are from Mexico, and the father is Afro-Mexican, but Maori was born here in the United States. So he is a little bit confused about what he is him, right? So the other case is like the Corkis family, that he was here before this was part of the United States, so now he is from the United States, but he is also part of the Mexico history past. So we can find different ways to understand, but this is not new. It's the only key that I can say for sure. This is not new. And I really want to see the interest of the students to work in some ways in these documents. Because one of my friends says, he's a historian, right? When I share with him the history about Corky, he says, yes, but that is like a, ¿cómo me dijo? You need to document that, because another way is going to be something part of the testimony. But when it's documented, it's going to be more powerful. And I don't know, there aren't too much historians working in that archives, for example. So we need help. Yep. So I encourage people who is interested in work and dissertations. We have very good resources and good ideas. And that is going to be based in the New Mexico, right? Curriculum that we need. Well, that's it. Thank you.